So there are so many positives you can pick from Chiefs' game today. You can pick out the fact that they have another clean sheet. You can pick out an incredible performance from Peterson, who's part of the reason why it stayed 1-0. You can pick out Umunyane, who continues to be the most consistent player at Kaizer Chiefs, the best player at Kaizer Chiefs, I believe, up to this point. You can pick out the second half performance from Ndlovu. You can pick out the fact that they're creating chances. All of that is valid. But my biggest thing that I want to focus on is game management. Something that over the past few games, Kaizer Chiefs has shown that they actually can do. This is not something you associate with Kaizer Chiefs. This is not something you give to Kaizer Chiefs. Usually in the second half, come the 70th minute, they just made subs and share, and then it's just a mess all over. But over the past few games, it's been a reaction. So in the first half, I don't think Kaizer Chiefs played particularly that well. I think Ox was losing a lot of balls. Ox, I still don't understand why, up to this point, we haven't gotten to a point where Kaizer Chiefs says, you know what, Ox, we need you to be a Makaula. We need you to be able to cover the defense, and we need you to be a bodyguard, essentially. And then you'll allow Ndlovu, Rotele to be the ones that play the ball, because every time he gets the ball, he loses it. Now, to Ox's credit, he's one of the few Kaizer Chiefs players that no matter what is happening, he still opens up, he still wants to go play, he still wants to make himself available. And that is the reason why he's getting all of these balls. In fact, sometimes he makes the other midfielders look a little bit bad, because it's like, Mara guys, who Ox is willing to go get this ball, whether he's losing it or not, why are you guys hiding? So Ox was losing quite a few balls. I think Umako going forward wasn't as effective as you expect him to be. Even though still, I think he's still miles better than the other left backs. You look at Umodi, who many will say had disappeared for the game, but I think it was more because he was covering Umako, something that I've spoken about quite a bit, that usually, especially on the left-hand side, the player that's playing on the wing is not usually a winger. So their instincts are to go inside, and they kind of leave the left-hand side bare. Now, when Modi came off, some of that started to happen. When Modi came off and they swapped with Lepo, you could see some of that happen. I think the chances that Chiefs creates, still high in number but low in quality in terms of the expectation of a goal coming from that. I think a lot of them are snapshots. I think a lot of them are uncomfortable shots, even though they should still be taken. You point to them and say they're a little bit weak there. But what I loved about the second half was they anticipated that Golden Arrows, who I'll speak about later, was going to attack them. So in the first half, you have Monyane gone, you have Marco gone, which caused some problems, especially if your 6 is not quite a 6. So Umtetwa, because he's popping up everywhere, wasn't available to be cover for defense. And Ndlovu, in the first half, sort of hid from everything. So Golden Arrows was winning the ball up high, and Golden Arrows was able to then go quickly and onto the defense. So what I liked about the second half, especially after the goal, was that Chiefs made the choice to say, you know what, guys, we know they're going to come at us, but we need a way to manage this game. So they brought in an extra defender. Munyane and Mako didn't go up as much as they were going in the first half, and they allowed Ndlovu, Nosirino, and even Silva. I think Silva is a wonderful hold-up target man, to sort of orchestrate what happens when they win the ball back and frustrate Arrows a little bit and pick apart Arrows' defense when they were on transition. So it was a game management style that was saying, you know what, we can't afford to keep sending up our left and right backs. How about we let Abu Sirino move around, knowing that the Golden Arrows is going to commit more people forward. When we speak about the Golden Arrows, I look at the Golden Arrows and I'm like, Coach Mangoba, your first half team was so good. There were so many chances that they got on transition where they were trying to hurt Kaizer Chiefs, where they were going into the pockets left by Abomako. They were going to the pockets left by Abu Munyani. And rarely they were let down by their finishing, which then is very weird in the second half. When you take out the players that were actually dangerous and you bring in guys who have energy, but they lacked the momentum that the guys in the first half had, and they lacked maybe even some of the mental aspect of having given Chiefs a very tough time, right? So now you bring those guys on and you sort of break the way that Arrows is playing. I don't know why. And it goes back to the script that I speak on a lot in the league. The script where a smaller team will either play an incredible half of football or defend. In the second half, they'll somehow try and push everyone forward. They'll get hurt. And by the time they need to do something later on in the game, they're done. Arrows was finished physically towards the end of that game. So I question Golden Arrows in that sense. When it comes to Kaizer Chiefs, I'd love to see a striker be a striker. I'd love to see Dupree's running. You know, there was a player who spoke about, an old player from that side who spoke about Theo Walcott. And he said if Theo Walcott could learn to run properly, he would kill everybody. And by run properly, I don't mean the mechanics of running or how he runs. I'm talking about why are you running? Where are you running? Are you able to use your speed to an advantage? So if you're running from 10 meters away from your defender, there was a couple of times where you got the ball, tried to turn and run. Even no matter how fast you are, you still have to close the 10-meter gap before you get to that ball. And most defenders are going to chow you alive. But if you start making that run from the shoulders of a centre-back, you start making that run, maybe those diagonal runs. There was a goal he scored versus Cape Town City. I think it was 2 years ago, something like that, where a ball was played into the midfield. He made a run behind the defender, ball was played in, he scored. You need to do more of those things. And I think this is a general critique of strikers in general in South Africa. I don't think we're gifted with a lot of good strikers. We're not even gifted. I don't think we develop strikers the way they need to be developed in terms of movement. You look at Golden Arrows. A lot of the time, they could have hurt Chiefs so many times, especially aside Ngamako. On counter-attacks. They could have played a right ball. There was a couple of times Mteto had to take a foul to stop a counter-attack. That was on Munyane's side. That was towards Munyane's side, where Golden Arrows was 3v2, sometimes 4v3 type of thing. And they just keep making the wrong decision whenever they get into the dangerous places. Even one-on-ones. There was a 1v1 that Golden Arrows missed. So there's things that we need to work on. When it comes to Arrows, I feel like Arrows is just going to become one of those sides that look great and they're exciting, but they just can't finish it off. And maybe that's where Ukosh Manqoba is going to be struggling a little bit. I want to give credit to Umfundo picking up his hand for his role in the goal, his role in how Chiefs were playing in that control area. I think that was really good. But most importantly, I always give credit to Mamelodi Sundowns for this, and I think it's time to give Chiefs credit for this too. 5 games unbeaten, they've got clean sheets. You know, you can speak about the chances that Golden Arrows got and maybe they should have taken. I believe they hit the post at some point, but they won the game. And they continue winning these 1-0s, these close games, these games where maybe they're supposed to lose. I mean, Golden Arrows had beaten Chiefs 4 times in their last 5 games. But they're just walking in and they keep winning and keep winning and keep winning. And this is the attitude that I enjoy most about the Chiefs now. It's one thing to be hyper and to be in your emotions when you're winning the game, right? When you're winning games. But the problem with hype and emotion is that you cannot be hyped and emotioned for 30 games. Sometimes you need to go out and 1-0 and graft wins. And this is something that they could not do last season. This is something that, last season's Chiefs loses this game. Last season's Chiefs has probably conceded more goals than they have games up to this point, right? So I want to give them credit for that it seems like there's a maturity to the way that they're winning and the consistency of which they're winning. I don't know how long it will last. I don't want to comment on all of that stuff. All I want to say is I think this is great for Kaizer Chiefs, right? Not to get too hyper, not to get too excited. I think Coach Nabi and his coaching staff tends to get overexcited at times. So the fact that they're winning these type of games, I am completely happy with that. And hopefully they can continue doing that. When it comes to Golden Arrows, take your chances when you can, but also don't break the game. maybe the players are not up to par, maybe they can't finish games, but you need to, when you've got something that's a winning formula, keep at it. You don't need to overthink. You don't need to do anything crazy. I think if Golden Arrows kept that first starting lineup they had, maybe for the first 15, 20 minutes of the second half, they probably come out of this game with something. So well done, Makosi. Another run unbeaten. Another match to keep the unbeaten run going. And Flavio Silva is off. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you.